So today, I've got some Battlefield 6 Portal gameplay to show you guys, and some pretty important details as well. We're only a couple of weeks off of Battlefield 6 actually launching. It's finally coming around. And EA today is letting me reveal some more information to you about this section of the game that's going to let you create and morph it into something that you, your friends, and potentially even a wider community want to play. Now, the gameplay in the background is from a bunch of different custom experiences that have already been created by the developers, but I've got all the details that you need right here. So let's get into it. Make sure you drop a like on the video for the almighty YouTube algorithm, and if you aren't already, get subscribed to the channel so you don't miss any of my Battlefield 6 coverage when launch comes around. I've got so much good stuff coming. Now, all of this info that I've got here comes from a behind-the-scenes presentation that EA gave me access to last week. But I can't show you any of that presentation. It had a bunch of unfinished and in-development elements that weren't ready to be shown. So I'm going to do my best to get all the important info across to you in line with some of the gameplay in the background where it's relevant. So let's start with one of the hottest topics that I've seen discussed about Portal, the XP progression and how it's going to be handled. In Battlefield 2042, the previous iteration of Portal, DICE and EA took what I thought was a rather heavy-handed approach to XP gain, often granting 100% XP gain, or completely removing XP gain entirely, and not really having any sort of sliding scale in between. Well, feedback from players during 2042's lifecycle appears to inform a change in direction for Portal in Battlefield 6. We'll have to see how this works in practice after launch, but here's how it's being handled moving forwards. No matter what experience you play in Portal in Battlefield 6, you will earn some sort of XP progression. So if that's experiences created by the developers or community-created custom experiences, you will earn some level of XP. Now, if the experience you're playing is a verified community experience, that's to say an experience that falls closely in line with the traditional Battlefield formula, you will earn full XP as if you were playing on an official Battlefield experience, just like Conquest, Breakthrough, Rush, whatever. And this includes mode variants like Hardcore and Rush 24/7. If the experience you're playing is a custom community experience, one that strays further from the traditional Battlefield formula, and it's distant from the core gameplay loop of the series, and it offers something more unique and creative, those experiences will grant XP based on the time you spent playing it. Every single experience hosted within Portal for Battlefield 6 is going to have a label attached to it that tells you which of the two categories it falls into, and that will be in the main menu description, so you know absolutely before you launch the experience what type of XP you're going to be gaining by playing it. Now, when it comes to finding and launching these different experiences in Portal, you're going to have two different options. The devs have created an experience search function that you can use to type in keywords that will help you find what you're looking for, essentially like a Google search for Portal. And then, of course, there's the Portal server browser as well, which will list all running experiences, meaning communities can find the servers that they want to play on. The server browser has a bunch of filters and tags that are built in to allow further granular searching for the experiences that you want, giving you almost full control over how you want to play Battlefield 6 outside of the official game modes that are listed in the main menu. And speaking of the main menu, the devs have the ability to take the most popular community-made experiences from Portal and elevate them to front and center of the main menu. So like as soon as you start playing the game and you get past the click start button and you get onto the main menu, you could end up being featured on that screen if your mode is super cool and super popular, which is pretty nice. And it's also worth noting here that the experiences you create in Portal can also be persistent if you turn the setting on. With the purchase of Battlefield 6, you'll have the ability to have one persistent server tied to your account running at all times, if you choose to, whether or not you're there playing in that server at that time. And this is a great step forward for Portal and helping to foster communities around specific experiences, because we have the option to make sure the experience doesn't spin down and disappear when the creator of the experience logs off of the game. Now, when it comes to actually creating different experiences within Portal, I think we can divide it into two separate categories. There's a more simple way and then there's the truly custom way. The simple way revolves around the web-based portal editor that many of you will already know from Battlefield 2042. This features toggles, mutators, and sliders that let you create Battlefield modes and set them up in the way that you want to play them. So for example, if you're a big fan of the Rush game mode and you want to create Rush 24/7, but you hate snipers and you want to disable sniper rifles, you can go ahead and do that. You'll have the tools to do it, and you can get it set up and running in just a couple of minutes. There's over 100 different built-in options that you can mess around with to create a version of Battlefield's game modes that you and your friends really like, and then you can get it on display in the Portal server browser really, really quickly. So settings like player count, damage tweaks, health regen, sprint toggles, and even more. That's the simple version of creating an experience with Portal, but still giving you lots of different options over how you want to play. But as I said, there is a step above this, and it's called spatial editing. And this is the more advanced, more custom way to create experiences within Portal for Battlefield 6. Now, at launch, you're going to be able to use the Godot open source development tools to make changes and additions to existing Battlefield maps. So essentially, we've got a full-blown map editor in Battlefield 6. You're going to be able to rotate and transform and uniformly scale objects around each of the maps in the game, as well as redraw combat areas, combat sectors, and HQs. So you've really got full control to edit what is there on the maps at launch. So if you want to create experiences that we've never ever seen in Battlefield before, a bit like some of the experiences that you've been watching in the background, Top of the World being one of them, you now have the controls and the abilities and the tools to do that if you want to. Now, having the Godot engine there to create these custom experiences is, I think, absolutely awesome, but the devs are taking it a step even further beyond that, and they're allowing fully customizable UI elements within Portal, giving you even more control over how your experiences look and feel. This means that you can disable the official HUD for Battlefield 6, and you can replace it with all of your own elements, all different containers and text, to make sure the UI reflects the mode that you've created, which is absolutely awesome. There's also AI bot custom scripting built in as well, so you can control how the AI behaves and fits into the mode that you've created if you need it. An example in the presentation that I saw is this wave-based horde mode, but it can also lead to other creations like a top-down 2D shooter if you wanted to. The devs have already made that internally. The possibilities are basically endless if you have the talent and skill to create something, and the tools are there to be used by absolutely anyone. So in that vein, the devs will be creating a bunch of tutorials and scenarios built into Portal that will be there to help guide players into creating their own unique experiences. The devs know that a lot of these tools will seem very daunting to a large proportion of the player base, but the devs also seem committed to helping people learn how to use them in the hopes that that grows the community even further. Because if there's an experience that becomes really, really popular, more people will want to play Battlefield 6 because it was created by a creative community. It all kind of rolls together and keeps moving forward. It's pretty cool stuff, I do have to say. Now, the final element mentioned in the presentation was a commitment to continue adding to Portal and its toolset post-launch, which is obviously good to hear. There wasn't a firm commitment on any specific major additions, nothing by name, but there's a possibility that transforming landscapes, mixing and matching assets, and lighting adjustments could come in the future. So it sounds like the devs are really opening the floodgates to the community here to just run wild with Portal if they want to, and to a certain extent, I think it's like letting the community show them on where they want Portal and, really, the wider Battlefield 6 game to go in the future. Who knows what sort of creations could crop up over time, but it does sound like this is only the beginning for Portal moving forwards. If you enjoyed this video, smash the like button, subscribe if you want to see more Battlefield 6 stuff, and I'll catch you very soon.